Hello, and welcome back to our Meet the Dean series. At the current moment, we're going to be looking at the Dean of the College of Engineering at New Mexico State University, Dr. Lakshmi Reddi, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about the things that go on in the College of Engineering, but also give us some guidance on helping out students to get ready for that STEM education that they might be looking at as they enter in their middle school and high school years. So joining us as we welcome Dr. Lakshmi Reddi, Dean of the College of Engineering.
Sure. What you're trying to do is very, very welcome. I think we need that, and I'm the dean of College of Engineering, as you know, um, and in my fifth year right now. So I have been here for 4 years, and I have seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, uh, sort of. And it's a wonderful college with a rich history, with an amazing group of students. I say that because, you asked me to introduce myself. I say that because I have seen three other schools, um, yeah, maybe apples and oranges because they are on the East Coast. One of them is Kansas State, Midwest. So I think the comparison clearly tells me that we have a very special group of students here. And I'm not just talking about the first generation and other minority students. I'm actually talking about the work ethic and the quality of the students and how easy it is to really guide them to success. So I worked, before coming here, I worked at Florida International University in Miami, which is a metropolitan setting, not a land grant university like we are. But there I was a dean of graduate school. But before that, University of Central Florida in Orlando, Florida, as a department head for civil engineering. Before that, at Kansas State, like our president did, there as a department head in civil engineering as well. So it's a wonderful ride to New Mexico State, and I think that experience prepared me well for the task here at New Mexico State. But this is a wonderful, amazing campus, wonderful college.
Thank you, Dean. And was the journey to the deanship a goal of yours or something that you kind of fell into?
Oh, it's actually very, very easy. Um, I was a professor, uh, professional teacher all along, but I got an administrative opportunity really to be the department head at Kansas State. And frankly, I saw how much an administrator could impact, both negatively and positively, I guess. But that opportunity attracted me, and I kept climbing up. And the deanship is really an amazing opportunity at New Mexico State, only because it's not too small a university, it's not too big, it's not too small a college, it's not too big. And I'd say it's a college that I think I still could, while being the dean, I could remember every student by their first name. So that I think is rarely possible elsewhere. And the fact that New Mexico State University has earned a very good historical reputation for being student-centered is, to me, the main draw to New Mexico State.
And as we get to know a little bit more about the College of Engineering, what does the dean get to do that maybe we don't know about? And who's there to help you out in this endeavor?
Yeah, that's a good question because we often take it for granted that people know what a dean does. But I tell students that the job of a dean is to meet with every difficult student who's giving tough time to their department heads and faculty, and they don't know what to do with them, and they send them to the deans. And that is true for the most part, but that's a very insignificant component of it. So as a dean, my job is really to be the chief executive officer of the college. What that means is I look for budget health, I strategize, I decide where to put money in terms of teaching faculty. I do the hiring of all faculty and our department heads. And I make sure that we have the quality in teaching, research, and service. And I make sure that we have a group, an organization where there is an associate dean dealing with academics, exclusively class scheduling and all of that. There's an associate dean under me who does exclusively research administration. Most people think that research is not about student. It is about student. All the graduate students, we're trying to prepare them to be cutting edge researchers and higher level thinkers, right? And then as a land grant, I have another associate dean helping me with the service activities. If there is that organization in the state of New Mexico, which is having some trouble with some engineering problem, then as a land grant university, we are supposed to be helping them out. So what is my job with all these different three wings, broadly speaking? My job is to really prepare that coordinating glue, make sure that things happen seamlessly, make sure that they have enough resources to do what they are trying to do, make sure that if there's any exceptionally difficult case that we need to deal with, either budget-wise or non-budget-wise, that I take care of it. Make sure that I take responsibility for the long-term direction and strategic focus of the college, and make sure that our faculty have what it takes in terms of professional development opportunities. So there is that overarching umbrella set of activities that are common to every department, be it a chemical engineer or civil engineer, be it a research, teaching, service. And that common denominator is I put all of them together to make sure that we are not running against each other. We're not pulling each other in different directions, but we're all going in the same direction.
How can students best utilize the dean's office a little bit more proactively, and not just when the thought of things are going tough and I need to go see the dean because they're going to solve all of my problems for me?
Yeah. No. I meant that as a joke, but I was going to tell you the positive side of it, which I forgot. As a dean, I have an advisory board. These people come from industries, and then I have a student advisory board, which is essentially the student. All the clubs we have, 20 to 30 different clubs of students, one for women in engineering, one for Hispanics in engineering, one for chemical engineers, one for civil engineers, one for engineers without borders, kind of activities. So the student, what we call engineering student council, meets with me occasionally, not occasionally, periodically, gives me their take on where we need to improve, gives me their needs for laboratory infrastructure the way they see. Sometimes they see it better than the faculty and the teachers who are teaching them, right? So I keep track of their needs by engaging them directly myself on a periodic basis. So that's the positive side of what I do with the students. And that's a very sizable activity. For example, let me give you just one small component of what I do with them. We have what is called a technology fee, that students enrolled in engineering programs pay. And this is not there for students in arts and sciences or business or in other areas. And this is a sizable money budget every year. They pay it as part of their tuition and fee. So, and this group handles that roughly about $500,000 per year, exclusively at the college level. So they handle that, and they ask me for my priorities, and then I propose some activities to them, and then they together, and sometimes go against what I advise them, very rarely though, and I give them complete ownership. So in other words, it's a really direct relationship I enjoy with the students that way. And that's very important for me because I have that opportunity, perhaps the other um, deans don't have in the other colleges, because we have so many engineering clubs and we have that exclusive pot of money to help our students develop their club activities, laboratory infrastructure. We are very laboratory, hands-on kind of intensive, so we need that. So that's the direct answer to your question of what else I do. So in other words, it's a direct relationship with students on one hand, faculty on one hand, staff on the other hand, outside engineers and practitioners. When I put all of them together, I need to tell them what the practitioners are asking for. So we need to listen to each other in order to prepare our students to be very successful, not just on the campus with their studies, but we want them to find a meaningful job once they graduate, right? So that's what I do.
Great. And I know we joked about this earlier, but what are some of those misconceptions about the dean's office?
Oh, well, I think what I presented to you as a joke was a misconception. The dean is there only to punish us, or only to see the bad students, or only if, in fact, somebody was not able to pass through the program even after X number of years. That's the misconception. The dean is there to listen to all kinds of ideas that a student may have, any student may have, on what it takes for them to be successful. Now, let me give you a couple of really good examples that, because this is a really good question, the students and some staff also have some misconceptions. It is exclusively because of the students' feedback, students' positive feedback, and this productive dialogue between the students and myself and our faculty and my associate deans that we now have what we call learning communities for engineers, which really means that the students could go there anytime outside the office hours, in the evening hours. There's always somebody there to help them with whatever problem they may have, with that math problem or with a non-academic problem. And we are there to introduce them to future employers, and sometimes good leaders come there and give a talk by way of inspiring them. That has come into existence only because of the fact that the students and we work closely together. So the misconception is that the dean's office does not have anything to do with what I'm doing in the class or with what I need. In fact, the dean's office has everything to do with what a student needs or does. We are here for the student. The dean's office is there for the students, and sometimes that fact gets lost because there's just so many layers between the students and the dean's office. It's very confusing.
And definitely making those connections is something valuable that sometimes we don't even think about in the moment. And getting to know you, did you have the opportunity to utilize the dean's office during your undergraduate or graduate career?
That's a good question. Um, Not a whole lot, unfortunately. But what I mean by that is, I think the places where I got trained did not have the opportunities that we now have at New Mexico State. Call it Ag Innovation Space for people to go and make their hands dirty, touch and feel, and make something out of it. I was talking to you earlier about the learning communities because I did need some help and I didn't know where to go. And call it a leadership institute that we now have at New Mexico State. We did not have that opportunity when I was going to school. So unfortunately, the honest answer to that question is, as I was growing up and getting my own degrees, I really did not enjoy what I honestly feel our students are enjoying here at New Mexico State.
We know that hindsight is 2020. What advice would you have wanted somebody to give you during your educational career, or that you would want to have given yourself at that time, or maybe that you would want to give other students?
I That's another great question. I wish. By the way, I was a first generation student myself. Nobody in my family went to college, so I did not grow up with a laptop on my lap. Uh, I didn't have that privilege. I wish on my campuses, and I got a couple of my degrees at Ohio State University. I wish somebody presented to me, not in a lecture format, but in a mentoring format. What all are the offices on campus that provides direct services to students? And I'm not just talking about learning communities or leadership institutes. Hey, I have this non-academic problem, and I do, right? Any student does. Where do I go? It was not quite clear to me on a campus that's as big as what my alma mater has. I wish I was not just a student ID. I wish I was more than a student ID. I was, I was, I was looked at as somebody who, if introduced to, I turned out to be okay. I'm, I don't want to, I don't want this to come out overly negatively, but I wish somebody could think of the potential in me and say that, look, hey, this guy not only is going to graduate, but if I introduce him to this office, to that office, and to these people and to those people, wow, sky's the limit. But I'm not trying to blame my people or officers at alma mater because during the 1980s and 70s, I guess, the job was a bit more pedantic without any student-centric offices on campus. That's part of the reason. And the part is, as a first-generation student, I was shy to go and reach out to, something like your office or other offices. And I still feel that with engineering, even now among my students, I try to tell them something based on my experience that they must be going through, and that is they're too shy probably to reach out and make use of these things. And so I go out of my way to tell them we are here for you. So there's that resource, there's this resource. You're paying for these resources through your tuition, so you better get take advantage of this. I wish that some of those resources were explicitly introduced to us, not as a list of things that I could go if I'm interested to see, because I think that would have made my navigation a bit easier.
And in your role as a dean, what are some of the challenges that you face? But also, what are some of those exciting moments?
Well, the challenging part is easy. I think it's the budget, the budget is all the budget. I wish we don't have as many financial constraints as we have, and it looks like we are going to have even more with the current situation. So I wish that we have a bit better funding and better resources available to us uh, to take care of things so our students have more number of opportunities, and we could help more number of students, and we could help them get a degree sooner, help them complete their degree faster. That's the challenge, and I cannot really think of any other challenge, quite frankly. But the advantage is, we have a unique opportunity here in southern part of New Mexico with a unique demographic of students, mostly first generation students, and a good set of minority backgrounds. I wish that my previous employers had such demographics, because it is immensely satisfying for me as a dean to see that these students coming from families where most of the times nobody else had gone to the college, immensely satisfying to see them succeed. Not only as students, we have a good number of alum who are so successful. They're now the vice presidents and CEOs of some big companies in engineering. And our chancellor was one of our own students, mechanical engineering. He was our alum. So nothing is more satisfying to me than to see our students successful. And I think that in spite of the challenges, I think that's the best part of that. That keeps me excited here on the campus.
Now, as students prepare to come to NMSU, what advice would you give them about how to thrive at our institution?
Yeah, I think there is a generic answer to that, which probably you heard already, but that would be same as my answer. That is, in general, I feel, to put it delicately, our high schools and middle schools could do a better job with STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics courses. And in fact, they could probably introduce to the engineering concepts not as strictly mathematics, but as a creative field where they could make anything happen. They could do something very similar to iPhone. And I think the STEM fields, including engineering that I stand for, uh, could be using better introduction, not just in high school, but in middle school itself. And 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 I think they need to know that engineering is a fun field. Is not a field simply to use some dry mathematics facts. It is a creative field where people create stuff. And that could be introduced in a better way, in a project format, in a creative activities format. And unfortunately, our students had a preconceived notion of thinking, uh, to be an engineer, I need to take this math and this math. Yeah, that's correct. But in that statement is lost the fun, the creative activities. I have seen some really, really prominent engineers who are not so good at math, but because of their creative abilities, they did so good. Engineers, yes, do need math, but we do a lot of fun and creative stuff with it. I think that inspiration, I wish, reaches out to the students in middle school and high school.
As we work with our undergraduate students, what advice would you give them on reaching those next steps?
Yeah, I think right around junior year, not so much in the freshman or sophomore year when people are too busy with their classes. I see, based on my experience, some traits in students that make me think, wow, she would be a great professor, or she would be a great researcher. And I usually generally don't shy away from advising those students, hey, why don't you think about this? Or why don't you try this small experiment in the lab? We could use some help. That professor needs some help in the laboratory. So, and it'll pay you a small amount of money, but meanwhile, it will introduce you to what researchers do. It will let you job shadow a researcher, a professor. And I think we have some opportunities starting from junior year and senior year because we do immerse them in some experiential learning opportunities with some of our faculty members in laboratories. But I also simply because I'm a professor and I have taken this career path, I also believe in the fact that being a professor is not for everybody. Being a researcher is not for everybody. And there are some people who are better off in a business enterprise because they are entrepreneurs. Not that a professor cannot be entrepreneur, but there are some people who are really specifically designed and they have a mindset to go and quickly get an idea from a drawing paper to reality. And to those people, it may not be appropriate advice. So I believe in presenting to these students all the opportunities that there are, not just seeking a higher education in the name of master's or PhD.
Now, I've been asking quite a bit of questions. Is there some advice you might want to add that I might have missed?
No, I think you have done a good job of really covering a good breadth here with your questions. No, I think if there is a mechanism through your office and other offices to project the fact that the dean's offices are there to make sure the students are successful. The common denominator of every activity that I do in a day is student, whether it is a class that he or she is taking, um, or the laboratory infrastructure that is needed and we don't have it, whether it is a research activity that employs graduate students and slash or undergraduate students. So the common element in everything we do, the dean does in my office. Um, I have to think about the student. And I think a student should not feel like a dean is so far away separated, which is that misconception right now that they have. It's not an office that is there to punish some kind of, bad apples, and reward some good students in the name of honors list and all of that. But we are there to make sure that each and every student is successful, whatever it takes. Even during a time of budget constraints, we want to make sure that we are serving the students. And if that is conveyed as the primary, and no, the only mission of a dean's office, um, I'll be happy.
And I'm definitely hoping that more students come and utilize the dean's office to its fullest.
No, yeah, that is well said. I think that is important for our students. And we're not a big school,
Okay.
so uh, you know we don't have to operate as though we cannot give individualized attention to our students. And I think it's not a big, unrealistic, impractical expectation to really have every student given appropriate attention. A student should expect that. I think a dean should expect that.
So thank you very much for joining us, Dean.
Okay.
You have a great
You
day.
take care.
We'll see
All
you
right,
again.
you too. Take care. Stay safe.
You as well.
Thank you all for joining us once again as we continue our Meet the Dean series. We're almost wrapping it up for this academic year, so we look forward to seeing you for our last installment. And definitely, if you have the opportunity to, please be sure to get your vaccine. But if not, continue to be vigilant, be safe, stay well, and go Aggies. Have a great day, everybody.